Hands on the wheel. Who does this vehicle belong to?
What is your problem pulling me over like this?
You match a suspect driving a stolen car. Don't move an
Then
inch.
check the plate.
I'm coming from base.
Just my shift.
Don't reach. Keep your
I'm
hands
not
up.
reaching. You're escalating this for no reason.
Look at my badge on the dash. You're about to cost your...
Officer Derek Harrison had been with the Norfolk Police Department for 14 years. In those 14 years, he'd accumulated 29 formal complaints. 24 of them involved black women he'd pulled over without legitimate traffic violations near military bases and in areas with high concentrations of military families. A black servicewoman in uniform driving a new car was stopped for suspicious vehicle operation. A black military spouse in a Honda was detained for improper lane change that dashcam footage later disproved. A black veteran driving from the VA medical center was searched for drugs during a routine stop with no violation. A black airwoman was handcuffed for matching a description that was never verified. A black sailor was arrested for resisting when she asked for the reason for the stop. A black soldier in her service uniform was pulled over for erratic driving when she was going the speed limit. A black Marine was detained for suspicious behavior with no articulated violation. Every complaint ended the same way. Internal affairs review that cleared him, use of force justification that protected him, bias training he attended but dismissed, union grievances that blocked discipline, written warnings that accumulated in a file nobody acted on. One Thursday afternoon in Norfolk, his 14-year pattern of pretextual stops targeting black women in nice cars near military installations finally confronted someone who didn't just serve in the military, someone who fed thousands of sailors and officers aboard an aircraft carrier, who held a position of trust and responsibility in the U.S. Navy, and whose arrest would trigger a military investigation, outrage from the naval community, and expose a department that had ignored 29 complaints over 14 years. That confrontation would end Harrison's career, cost the city $2.22 million, and expose systemic bias against military women. Chief Petty Officer Alicia Morrison, a 38-year-old culinary specialist in the United States Navy, was driving through Norfolk after her shift aboard the USS George H.W. Bush when she saw flashing lights behind her. Her military ID was in her wallet, her Navy uniform jacket was on the passenger seat, her base parking pass was visible on her windshield. No traffic violation, no erratic driving, no legitimate reason for the stop, just a Navy chef driving home after feeding thousands of service members. But Officer Harrison saw her through a lens so warped by racial assumptions and gender bias that he couldn't process a black woman in a Nissan Altima as anything other than suspicious, certainly not as a chief petty officer who managed kitchens feeding an entire aircraft carrier crew, and definitely not as someone whose arrest would expose his years of harassing military women. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Hit that subscribe button. These stories need to be heard. Norfolk, Virginia, home to Naval. Station Norfolk, the world's largest naval base, and a community of over 75,000 active duty personnel and their families. The area was known for military families, defense contractors, and service members of all ranks. It was 5:15 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon, temperature 70°, overcast skies. Traffic was heavy with the evening commute as military personnel left the base heading home. Chief Petty Officer Alicia Morrison had been in the United States Navy for 16 years, currently serving as a culinary specialist, a Navy chef, aboard the USS George H.W. Bush, a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. She'd enlisted at age 22 after graduating from Johnson & Wales University with a degree in culinary arts. She'd worked her way up from culinary specialist seaman to petty officer 3rd class, 2nd class, 1st class, and finally to chief petty officer, a senior enlisted leadership position. As a chief, she managed food service operations, feeding 5,000-plus sailors and officers, supervised a team of 30 culinary specialists, ensured food safety standards, managed million-dollar food inventories, and maintained morale through quality meals during long deployments. She'd served on multiple deployments, including 2 combat deployments supporting operations in the Middle East. She'd earned a Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, a Good Conduct Medal with 3 stars, and numerous other commendations. She'd completed the Navy's Senior Enlisted Academy. She earned $68,000 annually in base pay plus allowances. She was respected by her crew, valued by her commanding officers, and took pride in her service. She drove a 2019 Nissan Altima she'd purchased with her own money, a reliable car for her commute between home and the base. That afternoon, Chief Morrison had completed a 12-hour shift aboard the carrier, managing meal service for thousands of crew members, breakfast, lunch, and dinner operations. She'd changed from her working uniform into her Navy service uniform to attend a brief meeting with the Command Master Chief before leaving base. She'd driven off the base through the main gate showing her military ID and was heading home. She was obeying all traffic laws, driving carefully, listening to a Navy podcast about leadership development, when she noticed a Norfolk PD patrol car following her for several blocks. She checked her speed, 30 in a 35 mph zone. She'd signaled every turn. She'd stopped completely at stop signs. Her military base parking pass was clearly visible on her windshield. Then the lights came on. Do you think officers should state violations immediately during traffic stops? Drop your answer below. Officer Derek Harrison had those 29 complaints over 14 years. 24 involved black women near military bases. A pattern so extreme and undeniable that multiple supervisors had recommended his termination, that Navy commanders had complained to the Norfolk police chief about Harrison harassing their female service members, that military spouses advocacy groups had filed formal complaints, and that internal affairs had flagged him as high risk specifically in his interactions with military women. But the police union had successfully blocked every disciplinary action, arguing that Harrison's stops were legitimate traffic enforcement and that military complaints were attempts to claim special treatment. His personnel file contained documentation of complaints from active duty servicewomen, female veterans, and military spouses dating back over a decade. One internal affairs report from 2 years ago specifically stated, Officer Harrison demonstrates a pattern of harassment targeting black women connected to military installations. His conduct damages the critical relationship between civilian law enforcement and the military community in Norfolk, a city economically and culturally dependent on the Navy. Recommend immediate termination. The recommendation was blocked by union arbitration. Harrison remained on patrol because the system protected him. That afternoon, Harrison was patrolling near Naval Station Norfolk when he saw a black woman driving a Nissan Altima. Despite seeing a military base parking pass on the windshield, no traffic violation occurred, but Harrison followed her for 6 blocks, looking for any reason to justify a stop. When none materialized, he pulled her over anyway, planning to claim suspicious driving pattern in his report, a tactic that had worked dozens of times before. Chief Morrison pulled over carefully, put her car in park, turned off the engine, placed both hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2, and took a deep breath. She'd led sailors through stressful deployments. She'd maintained composure during emergencies at sea. She knew how to stay calm under pressure. She kept her hands visible and waited. Harrison approached the driver's window with aggressive body language, his hand near his weapon, his tone immediately hostile. "Ma'am, pull over immediately." Chief Morrison spoke calmly and respectfully. "Officer, I've pulled over. What's the reason for this stop?" "License and registration. Don't ask questions." The chief's military training kicked in. Respect authority, but know your rights. "Officer, I'm asking respectfully. What traffic violation did I commit? I have a right to know the reason for the stop." Harrison's hand moved closer to his weapon. "Step out of the vehicle right now." "I need a reason for this stop first. I was traveling below the speed limit. I signaled all turns. I stopped at all stop signs. What is the legal basis for this traffic stop?" "You're being difficult. That's obstruction." Chief Morrison remained calm, her military bearing evident even in civilian interaction. "Officer, I'm not being difficult. I'm exercising my constitutional rights, rights I've spent 16 years defending. I'm Chief Petty Officer Alicia Morrison, United States Navy, USS George H.W. Bush. My military ID is in my wallet. My Navy uniform jacket is on the passenger seat. My base parking pass is on my windshield. I just finished my shift on the carrier. I'm asking for the legal basis of this stop." Should military chiefs be arrested during traffic stops? Let me know what you think. Harrison sneered with visible contempt. "Yeah, and I'm an admiral. Everyone claims military when they get pulled over. Get out of the vehicle or you're going to jail." "I'm serious, officer. I'm a chief petty officer with 16 years of service. I'm a culinary specialist aboard the USS George H.W. Bush, the aircraft carrier at Naval Station Norfolk. You can verify through your dispatch. You can call the naval base. You can contact base security. I'm a Navy chief. Last warning. Out of the car now. Chief Morrison pulled out her phone with one hand while keeping the other on the wheel. I'm recording this interaction. Officer Harrison, badge number unclear, Norfolk Police Department, has pulled me over without stating a traffic violation. I've identified myself as Chief Petty Officer Alicia Morrison, United States Navy. I'm active duty military being detained without legal basis. Harrison opened the door forcefully. You're under arrest for obstruction, resisting arrest, and impersonating a service member. Impersonating? I am a service member. I'm a Navy chief. This is a serious mistake. Harrison grabbed Chief Morrison's arm and pulled her out of the vehicle roughly. Chief Morrison didn't resist physically but spoke clearly and firmly for her recording and for passing motorists. I am not resisting. I am complying. I am Chief Petty Officer Alicia Morrison, United States Navy, USS George H.W. Bush. I am a culinary specialist. I feed 5,000 sailors and officers. I just completed my shift on the carrier. Officer Harrison is arresting me for driving while black. I have committed no traffic violation, no crime, no obstruction. This is a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights, rights I defend as a member of the United States military. Motorists were slowing down, several seeing the military parking pass on her windshield and the Navy uniform jacket visible in the car. That's wrong, one shouted. She has a military sticker. Another yelled. Harrison handcuffed Chief Morrison, the metal tight on her wrists that had prepared meals for thousands of sailors during deployments, that had worked in ship's galleys during rough seas, that had managed food operations, keeping an entire carrier crew fed and mission-ready. He walked her toward the patrol car while Chief Morrison continued documenting in her clear, professional voice. I am a 16-year Navy veteran. I am a Chief Petty Officer. I manage food service operations on an aircraft carrier. I have served 2 combat deployments. I was driving home from Naval Station Norfolk after my shift. Officer Harrison has arrested me for driving while black in Norfolk. I have witnesses. I have video evidence. The time is 5:28 p.m. My military ID is in my wallet. My Navy uniform is in my vehicle. My base parking pass is clearly visible on my windshield. This will have consequences involving the United States Navy and the Department of Defense. Harrison placed her in the back of the patrol car. Through the window, Chief Morrison could see her Altima with the door open, her Navy uniform jacket visible on the seat, her military parking pass on the windshield, the base decal on her bumper. She was thinking about her crew, the young sailors she mentored, the officers who trusted her with feeding the crew, the commanding officer who'd just commended her work. Now she was in handcuffs after serving her country all day. The drive to the station took 24 minutes through Norfolk traffic. Chief Morrison spent it thinking about her sailors, her command responsibilities, the message this would send to military families, the investigation this would trigger. They arrived at Norfolk PD's 2nd Precinct. Harrison walked her inside, still handcuffed and wearing civilian clothes with her Navy uniform visible in evidence, past a desk sergeant who immediately noticed something was wrong. Harrison, what's the situation? Traffic stop, obstruction, impersonating military. The sergeant frowned. Impersonating military? What branch? She claims she's some kind of Navy chief, but couldn't immediately prove it. Chief Morrison spoke up, her military bearing evident in her voice and posture. Sergeant, I am Chief Petty Officer Alicia Morrison, United States Navy, USS George H.W. Bush. I am a culinary specialist managing food service operations for over 5,000 personnel aboard a nuclear aircraft carrier. I've served 16 years, including 2 combat deployments. I completed my shift aboard the carrier today and was driving home when Officer Harrison pulled me over without stating a traffic violation. My military ID is in my wallet in my vehicle. My Navy service uniform is in my car. My military base parking pass is visible on my windshield. My credentials can be verified through Naval Station Norfolk, through the carrier's command, or through base security. I am a Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy. The sergeant's expression changed immediately. Chief Petty Officer? From the Bush? Yes, Sergeant, and this arrest is about to become a matter between your department and the United States Navy. The sergeant looked at Harrison with alarm. Did you see military identification? A base pass? Uniform? She was driving suspiciously and couldn't provide immediate proof. Her car has a base parking pass. Did you call Naval Station Norfolk? Verify with base security? Within minutes, the station was in crisis mode. The sergeant had called Naval Station Norfolk Security. Within 15 minutes, a Navy lieutenant commander from the carrier's legal office arrived with the base provost marshal. Within 20 minutes, the Norfolk police chief had been notified. Within 30 minutes, the carrier's commanding officer was involved. Within an hour, Navy leadership had been informed. The story was breaking in military news. A Navy chief arrested while driving home from her ship. The lieutenant commander in service dress uniform addressed the precinct commander who'd rushed in. Chief Petty Officer Morrison is a respected culinary specialist aboard the USS George H.W. Bush. She manages food service operations for the entire crew. She's a 16-year veteran with exemplary service. This arrest is now a matter of concern to the Navy and will require coordination between military and civilian authorities. A deputy chief arrived, Patricia Chen, herself a Navy veteran who'd been documenting Harrison's pattern. She reviewed everything, spoke with the Navy representatives, confirmed Chief Morrison's identity and service record, watched dashcam footage showing no traffic violation. She approached Chief Morrison, still handcuffed, and removed them personally with visible respect. Chief Morrison, I served in the Navy. This arrest was completely unjustified and an embarrassment to this department. You're being released immediately with our profound apologies. She turned to Harrison with controlled fury. You arrested a Navy chief, a culinary specialist who feeds an entire aircraft carrier crew, a 16-year veteran with combat deployments. You accused her of impersonating military when she is active duty Navy serving aboard the Bush. Badge and weapon. You're suspended immediately pending termination. Harrison protested. Deputy Chief, I didn't know. You arrested a Navy chief driving home from her ship. She had a military parking pass on her windshield. Her uniform was in the car. You've generated 29 complaints in 14 years. Navy commanders have complained about you. Supervisors recommended termination. The union blocked it. Your career is over. Badge, weapon, now. By that evening, the story had spread through military communities and news outlets. Navy Times covered it. Military publications ran stories. The carrier crew was outraged. Veterans organizations issued statements. The story resonated. A Navy chief who fed thousands of sailors arrested for driving home. Chief Morrison held a press conference in her Navy service uniform, her command presence clear, ribbons on her chest. I'm a Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy. I've served 16 years. I manage food operations feeding over 5,000 sailors and officers aboard the USS George H.W. Bush. I work 12-hour shifts ensuring our crew is fed and mission ready. Yesterday I was arrested driving home from my ship by an officer who saw a black woman in a car and assumed crime. My military parking pass was on my windshield. My uniform was on my seat. He didn't see a sailor. He saw what his biases told him to see. She paused. 29 complaints in 14 years. 24. Involving military women like me. Supervisors tried to fire him. The union blocked it. Norfolk depends on the Navy. We're the economic heart of this city. Yet Norfolk PD protected an officer who harassed the women serving on our ships. Chief Morrison filed a comprehensive lawsuit 17 months later against Officer Derek Harrison, his supervisors, Norfolk PD, and the city. The allegations: unlawful traffic stop of active-duty military without probable cause, false arrest of a Navy chief, false imprisonment of a service member, deprivation of rights, racial profiling, gender-based discrimination, interference with military service, damage to military-civilian relations, deliberate indifference to Harrison's pattern. The complaint included his record: 29 complaints, 24 involving military women, block terminations, Navy complaints. Norfolk city attorneys found the case indefensible. No traffic violation. The defendant was active-duty Navy. Military leadership demanded accountability. Harrison had zero legal basis. The pattern showed deliberate indifference. The city settled 20 months later. $22 million paid to Chief Petty Officer Alicia Morrison. Officer Derek Harrison was terminated and faced federal charges for deprivation of rights against a service member. He pleaded guilty and received 27 months in federal prison. His name entered the National Decertification Index. Chief Morrison testified before Congress and Navy leadership. I'm a Navy chief. I serve my country. I was arrested for being black. 29 complaints. Navy commanders complained. The system protected Harrison while he harassed servicewomen. I had the Navy behind me. Most junior sailors don't. If this can happen to a chief, imagine what happens to seamen and petty officers. Norfolk and the Navy implemented reforms. Automatic investigation at 2 complaints involving military, liaison officers, military ID verification requirements, protections for service members. Harrison is in federal prison. The city paid $2.22 million. Chief Morrison continues serving aboard the Bush, now helping establish policies protecting military members from harassment. Comment if harassing military personnel should carry enhanced penalties. And if these stories matter, hit that subscribe button. This isn't about one officer or one chief. It's about protecting those who serve and systems that enabled abuse for 14 years.